We now move on to the next session of the conference, which is the students' paper session 2. And I welcome you all to the students' paper session 2. I now request Dr. Ajanta Singh, co-chair for the conference and founder and director, Jello Labs, to be the session chairman for the paper session 2. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aribu. We have 4 student presentations. Now, this is a very special session that we do every year for every typo day, where we select state-of-art typography-driven exploratory projects done by students. And we have never had a problem finding good projects. We select 4, usually we select 4 students. And every year, as I moderate this session, it amazes me to see the kind of exploratory work that students are prepared to do. I remember when we had the event in Colombo, Sri Lanka, one of the students' works was by a Sinhalese student and then he got a standing ovation from the whole audience, and some had tears in their eyes. Why? Because he had presented work through which he was able to codify how you can figure out if a person, through the way he writes Sinhalese, is Tamil or Sinhalese, or how the juxtaposition of Tamil and Sinhalese can actually sometimes cause problems. So in those days, and he was talking about the context of his project when the previous government had come down cracking on the Tamil population in northeast Sri Lanka. And apparently, one example that he gave was at Nakabandi, where the police stand and your car is required to stop for a check. From something in the way that they would answer and they would write, they would figure out if this is a Tamil or a Sinhalese, and then they would actually harass the Tamil. So from the number plate, actually. And this student, he did some very interesting research to bring that out. So, and he, of course, talked about many other things. And it was very interesting to see how, in this case, it was life imitating art, if you were to take typography as an expression of how we articulate ourselves. And it's not just about creating new fonts. These things are connected with everyday life. It has actually, the student says, it has happened where they figured this is a Tamil, they would be drawn aside, and there is no telling what has happened to those people afterwards. And of course, a very young student, he received standing ovation. But just to say that every year till date, we have received fantastic entries, and we've never had any difficulty, finding a good project to feature on this session. So we have 4 students. The first project is called Mohalla, which is a multilingual typeface inspired from hand-painted street typography. It's by Rana Shinde, who is a student at the School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal, India. So I invite Rana to please come and present your work, Mohalla. And you have 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes. That's quite a lot of time. We could have the question answers right at the end. We can hold the question answer until the end. And I request the audience to please jot down your questions. So Rana, please come along and present your work.
Hello, everyone. Namaskar. I am Rana Shinde, and first of all, I would like to thank for giving me chance to share my work. I will present my Mohalla typeface design project today, which was started at SPA under the guidance of Aman Khaka sir, and is still ongoing as an industrial project with Indian Type Foundry. The typeface Mohalla was created with the goal of conserving and utilizing the space, and is inspired from the hand-painted street typography. This presentation will broadly cover the research part that went into selecting the particular typographic style which I went forward with, and how that selected style is being taken forward and converted into the typeface. So this project started as I started collecting the pictures of typographic arts and typographic science. So these are some of the artworks that I collected from around the Nagpur region in Maharashtra. Then moving forward, I started to study the methods and the equipments that the painters use to create all this artwork. And it was really beautiful to see how these painters create such a beautiful characters with only few tools and the skills which they have acquired, like by practicing and doing it daily. Then after this, I started from all the artworks which I collected, I started categorizing them based on the drawing styles, based on the tools which they are drawn with, and the shapes of the letter forms. So here, as you can see, I categorized all these artworks based on the styles. So there is calligraphic style, you can find traditional style, modulated style, script form, which is like a handwritten style of writing. Then there is monolinear style, which has a consistent width throughout. Then you can find decorative and custom styles as well. Then moving forward, categorize them based on the tools which they are drawn with. So you can see the canted tip tool, which is used for writing the Devanagari calligraphy. Then there is Roman tip tool, which is opposite to how we generally write Devanagari calligraphy. Then you can find the flat tip, then rounded tip, which is like a ball pen or a gel pen we use. Then there is a flat tip which is angle sensitive, which in this, the angle of the thickness of the letter forms varies based on the angle. And then there is categorization based on the shape. As you can see over here, you can see the circular style shape. Then there is an organic shape, and you can find a rectangular and squarish form as well. Then I wanted to select a style that I could move forward with to create a typeface. So from the already available type families which are there in the various platforms and the foundries, I studied them and found out that there was a significant lack in the availability of compressed typeface. So some of the compressed typeface which were available was Akhand Devanagari, which was by ITF, then Teco, Lini, which is by Mota Italic. I went forward to select a style which is not available to us and do not have this all these characteristics which are already present. So there was lack in a compressed organic and humanist style of font. So from all the selected styles which I collected, I went forward with this particular style, as this style is lacking there in the digital medium. So you can clearly see the monolinear, compressed, and the organic nature of it, which was not available in any other font. So I started the designing part, where I followed very linear and basic process, which started with hand exploration, went on to digitalize it and create the first draft. But there was very much inconsistency in the visual language as I started drawing the first draft. Then I tried to match all the visual characteristics of the letter fonts, and we tried various different iterations for these fonts. And moving forward, we finalized on the open loops and the visual characteristics of these fonts. So these are the type features and the anatomy which we finalized on. And we further went on to create light version for it, as we wanted to take this forward and make it a variable font and a variable typeface. And we went on to create matras and matras, kanas, ukar for both bold version as well as the light version of it. And this is the current draft where I'm still working on the conjuncts. These are the base characteristics which are finalized. We started working on the kerning and spacing part for now. Then while working on this project, there was I also participated in 35 days of Gurumukhi challenge, where I started exploring Gurumukhi as well. These are the characters which I created during that, and I gave them a chromatic effects by pictures which I clicked during the study. So this was a small project in itself. Then I also went on to create the base Latin alphabet set, which made Mohalla a multilingual font project. So this project has just started and has a long way to go ahead. Currently, I am focusing on working on Devanagari weights and creating the conjuncts, and then eventually we'll work on other scripts as well. These are some of the mockups and the uses of Mohalla typeface, where you can use it on movie posters, signages, and advertisements. So yeah, thank you. Dhanyavad. So once again, I would like to thank Aman Khaka sir for guiding me. Then Indian Type Foundry, which I am working with, and Typography for giving me the platform to present my work. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana, for making your presentation very efficiently, ahead of time, that too. We got a good gist of what you've been trying to do, and what you've done falls straight on in the domain of what the new education policy is now espousing, which is to create learning environments and communication mediums through one's local language, which is what you've done.
Yes.
Right. And increasingly, of course, the recognition around the world that, the feast of local languages that we have is not only to be recognized, but to be celebrated, because there are very few countries outside of perhaps Africa that actually have this many number of local languages coexisting. And in Africa, of course, most of them are dialects. We have local languages as well as dialects. So thank you, Rana, for taking up this topic. It's like a street project, and it is an ongoing project, which you're now, you're actually giving formal typography shape to what's happening on the street. So it's the common man's work is getting augmented through your expertise. What we'll do is we will hold the questions for till the end, and I request the audience to please write down your questions so that you may ask him once we are done with the other three presentations.